to the March Networking at Noon event. Thank you all for coming, and especially thank you all for coming because this was supposed to be February's program, and the weather kind of threw everyone for a curveball for that. So thank you to the First Assembly of God Church. We really appreciate being able to have the meeting here for that. And thank you to Jasmine's because we've got a lovely cashew chicken lunch available. I am Jennifer Fields, your chamber president this year, and we're in the middle of our chamber membership renewal. So if you have not renewed your membership, there are forms available. See Judy. She can let you know what your renewal price is. And we'd love to have you signed up before the Living Guide goes out and is published, because that is our yearly directory that gets published of all current members. If you're here today and a new member, we'd like you just to stand up, raise your hand so we can recognize you. Always appreciate new memberships, and we have some ribbon cuttings that we have coming up that we'll go through at the end. We have Admin Service Pros, LLC, Leanne Griswold. We have Reflection Salon by Jessica Jones. Bloom by A&A Creations, Aaron Mayfield. Branstetter and Lightfoot, Attorneys at Law, that's Billy Coop and Jessica Lightfoot. Countryside Assembly of God. Ruth Treadway, Juice Plus Partner. Tracker Boats, Steve Skopek and Kimberly Sanker. And Go Forth Home and Lawn, Melinda Goforth. We'd also like to recognize we have 3 new corporate partners. Comfort Inn, is Sean here? I don't think Sean's here. Warwick Electric. And One Communications. All right, we've got a few save the dates we're going to get out before the program. The spring job fair is coming up on March 25th at the Bolivar Recreation and Aquatic Center. If you're a chamber member, there's a free booth available to you. We have information present on that today, so that's coming up rather quickly. So if you're interested, please see Judy or Linda or me after the meeting. We'd love to get you signed up for that. The Chamber Golf Tournament, that's going to be the first major golf tournament out at Silo Ridge this year. It's going to be April 16th. We have morning and afternoon tee times available, poll sponsorships available, and if you have any promotional items you'd like to include in those bags, feel free to see any chamber member for that, any chamber board member. The citywide garage sale, that's coming up April 24th. The city's just asking that you follow the CDC guidelines on that so we can have a safe and fun event for that. Bolivar Night at the Springfield Cardinals. So they are having a baseball season this year. Right now, the Springfield Cardinals are not having community nights. That may change come the fall. So it may look a little different this year. It might not come to fruition until the fall, or it might not at all. We don't really know for sure what they're going to do with that. But if you're able to go out and support the baseball team themselves, we are hoping to have a community event maybe in the fall. Okay, so our program today is presented by the city. We've got Mayor Chris Warwick, City Administrator Tracy Slagle, and Gail Noggle, the Executive Director for the Economic Development Alliance, with the Believe in Bolivar program. So I will turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, everyone. It's good to be here. I'm glad we're able to be here this morning, or actually, I guess it's afternoon now, no longer morning. So this afternoon, and speak to you all. We've got some slides to go through. We've got a survey to pass out and try to get some information from you all so that we can continue Bolivar moving forward into 2040. So we'll be talking about those things. So thankful for my team that's here with us today to be able to also participate. You'll be hearing from them as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. Our first presentation is going to be from Gail Noggle. Go ahead and yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Gail Noggle with the Economic Development Alliance. She'll be able to talk to you all about what's been going on there. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good to see everyone, and things are kind of starting to get back to normal, maybe, you think? A little bit? We're getting there. Anyway, thank you, Mayor and Tracy, for letting me be part of the presentation today. We're all kind of partners in crime on this economic development, as you know, and so it's important for us to kind of team up and talk about what our different lanes are doing to help the economic growth in the city of Bolivar. And as we do that, hopefully the way it's supposed to work anyway is then that grows the membership for this Chamber of Commerce. So it's truly a partnership for everybody. So I want to just say thank you for letting me be part of this team, because over the last 5 years I have had the pleasure of meeting some really cool people and working with some great folks. So thank you for that. The thing that I'm going to start off with, and I've got 7 to 8 minutes, and I've asked the mayor and Tracy to do this to me if I go too long, because I can kind of get excited about things and passionate. So one of the things that I want to mention that I know everybody I think is already aware of is Polk County and Bolivar is adding 600 plus new jobs to this area. You guys, that is huge. I've been doing economic development for about 20 years now, and I have yet had one community, including Springfield, if they add 600 jobs into a metro area, that's huge. So what's even better is that gets spread out over several companies, and that's just called diversification. When one company brings in 600 jobs, that's a big deal, and that's great for the economy. But when 2 or 3 companies bring in a total of 600 plus jobs, you're spreading that job base out over several different business sectors of the economy. And for those of you that are in finance, it's kind of like a portfolio. It gets more well diversified the more you can do that. So let's see. Tracker, Kim and Steve, are you guys here? Oh, I'm staring right down that way. There you are. Now I can see who we're talking to. You guys, we need your help with something. The labor pool in every area, not just Polk County and Bolivar, but across the country, is very, very tight. And the fact that also the labor pool has, you know, if there's a silver lining to the pandemic, there are resources now where a lot of those people that are out of jobs are able to get some additional revenue coming in. Sometimes that makes it even harder for a company to do their hiring. Tracker has 200 open positions right now, and I meet with them on a weekly basis, along with the Missouri Career Center, along with the Department of Economic Development and their programs, and the HR team at Tracker. So we are on top of it, they're on top of it in a huge way, but they still need our help on out there trying to recruit people for these jobs. We'll be pushing out a flyer to everybody, and of course we'll be using the chamber in many ways to try to help us with that, because that's the leader in getting the word out. But these are good paying jobs with good benefits. Please let your friends, your family members know about what's going on. And something else to keep in mind is, even though it's nice to kind of stay home right now and take advantage of some of these relief dollars that are coming in to folks that don't have a job, that's not going to last forever. So sustainability in the community means we get our citizens to work. So please keep that in mind. We have another opportunity in Pleasant Hope with the meat production facility. And so that's another great opportunity. We have opportunities across the county, so we're proud of that and excited as well. Is Billy here with the hibachi? He was supposed to come. There's a prime example of, and Billy's going to talk about this hopefully one of these days, and we'll get him to be a chamber member also. But Billy came to Bolivar a couple of years ago and was kind of checking around various areas for a possible expansion. And that kind of came as a result of seeing an article about his restaurant in the Springfield Business Journal. So I reached out to Billy. I said, get down here and take a look to see what's going on. So he checked out some facilities. I obviously wasn't involved in that part of it. Sometimes I am, but in that case I wasn't. And we met with him one-on-one on some of the building codes within the city and the community development department. So Billy and I got to be really pretty good friends over the phone, and I was supposed to go to West Plains and had to get a free lunch, which I didn't do, which I'm gonna get a rain check on, I hope. Long story short, Billy's now here with the Hibachi restaurant, and he is suffering growing pains already. So there's a prime example of a grassroots effort. If you see something in the Business Journal, if you see something anywhere, I've got friends that are doing a restaurant outside of the area, invite them to come down, hook them up with us, the city, with the Economic Development Alliance. We can show them around, we can possibly help with some financing mechanisms that might be available for them, but that's just another one of those fun stories. On your table, you have a flyer from American Pickers, and I've got a favor to ask. American Pickers, I found, was going to be going into the state of Missouri again. You guys have heard American Pickers, haven't you? Yeah. They're going to be traveling in the state of Missouri to do American Pickers and do their filming. For those of you that might have some treasures that you want to have them look at, they have a website and they also have a phone number. I'm going to ask you to go in your garage, into your basement, to wherever it may be, look for those treasures that may be worth millions. You never know. But as important, invite them to Bolivar, Missouri as a stop point in the state of Missouri. Let's get some recognition for this town, and that would be an awesome way to do it. I've already done that. In fact, I've done it more than once, so I have to kind of quit calling because I sometimes, you can become a pest, which isn't good. So, another thing that I want to mention to you, and this is on your table also, the Economic Development Alliance has put together a series of webinars. We had our first one with SBA, and a lot of this information is getting pushed out hugely by the chamber, by, I'm sure, banks, by the other non-for-profit organizations. But we took it another step and did a webinar that we're doing on Zoom. We had our first one this last week. There is an actual presentation of the slides on your table. Monies are becoming available daily, hourly, and let me tell you, the ready citizen is the one that's going to win. And when I say that, I mean monies are coming out for different segments that have never come out before. Okay, so the shuttered venue program is for venues that were shuttered during this actual pandemic. One of them that has come to mind is the Walnut Street Theater, and we're working with them to try to hopefully get them prepared to jump on this funding when it opens up. And that's why it's important for you to already know about some of this stuff. Go ahead and fill out the paperwork, and then when that floodgate opens, you're ready with your paperwork to jump in. So we have SBA. The next one we have planned is March 31st, and that is going to be through SIMCOG, Southwest Missouri Council of Governments, which is one of our partners, and they have access to a revolving loan fund. Millions of dollars from the Economic Development Association is going to be made available to that particular organization. And I've invited Jason and a couple of his staff to serve on a panel, again as a Zoom, on March 31st, so please tune in on that as well. They're going to go through the process on what you need to do to be ready to be able to take advantage. For those of you not familiar with the revolving loan fund, it basically gets money in, loans it out at a very, very low rate, not to compete with the banks. It's my understanding they're going to be working very closely with the banking industry as well. It doesn't take the place of your traditional banking finance mechanism, but this is another tool in your toolbox that you'll want to be ready for. And then in April, we'll be also putting together, I've got 5 or 6 different grant writers that specialize in certain areas, and they're affiliated with the Grant Writers Association of Southwest Missouri. We'll be doing a panel with them as well and asking them various questions based on their lane of expertise. There'll be a grant writer who specializes in not-for-profits, a grant writer who specializes in small businesses, and also for churches. So stay tuned on that. It's in April, and again, that will be by Zoom invite as well. And the final note, because I think I'm probably running out of time, is with those 600 jobs, the beauty of that is you've got a trickle-down wonderful economic impact in a positive fashion, but it comes with challenges. So we all know that just observation-wise, our housing inventory in this area is limited. And as you add 600 more people plus working in your community, sometimes that can add a little bit more of a strain to that. So I'm putting together a Realtors Roundtable. I know that our Community Development Department and our building inspector is really keeping, and I'm sure he'll talk about that, keeping in close tabs with the actual developers and builders. But there's another part of the picture that we need to be talking to the realtors, getting down, having a conversation, and finding out how we can help the housing inventory for Bolivar and Polk County. So I'll turn it over to the mayor, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Gail. Appreciate that update. So the next few things that we're going to be talking about, the main thing will be the Believe in Bolivar 2020, our comprehensive plan, thank you, data collection We're doing it online, but today we also have paper surveys, which I believe they've already passed out to you. So you can be working on that after you finished your meal. So we'll be talking about that. The other few things after that we'll be talking about is how things are going with the EPA variants and the water and sewer utility cell. Also be talking about updates on streets and sidewalks, along with our recreational center and how things are going there. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tracy Slagle and Kyle Lee to present for the Believe in Bolivar.
Thank you, Mayor. Hi, everybody. It's good to see everyone's face. I like seeing you from behind the mask and not with a mask in front of you. For those of you who don't know Kyle, he is our community development supervisor. Part of his role, beyond just supervising the staff and the community development, is he is our building inspector and our fire code inspector, and a real asset to our community. 7 years?
Yeah, 6.5. Yeah.
6.5 years that he's worked for the city. So I'll go through a little bit of why we do the comprehensive plan and the types of questions that we're wanting to find out community interest in, and then Kyle has an update on the results of the plan so far. So we thought you might like to hear kind of how those data are being collected and what's being reported. So the comprehensive plan is done for a 20-year period. This one will go through 2040. So children that are 7 will be 27 years old when this is over. Someone who's 60 will be 80. So we'd like you to really be thinking about that. You know, what are your needs going to be in the next 20 years? This helps us work on policies to support development, to support businesses, as well as just giving us concrete guidelines about what we may need to do in regard to zoning for houses or road development, that type of thing. We so far have, well, it's an update, we had 187 people who completed the survey.
I think we're at just over 250.
We're at 250 now. Our goal is to have 500 people. The more influence that we get from the community, the stronger we feel like that comprehensive plan can be. And so, you know, it's not about what the staff decides, it's about what the community feels like their needs are. So it's very important, and we thoroughly want that the whole community is invested in this, and it's not just a book that sits on a shelf, but we actually want it to be an action plan for moving forward. So hope you guys will take the time to fill it out while you're here, and if you do, just leave it on the tables and we'll pick it up. If you don't have time or you want to put a little more thought into it, please take it home with you. Let's see, where do I want to start? Well, one thing I left out was very important, is that we'll use a lot of this data to develop our capital improvement plan. So where are those capital dollars going to be spent? And we will use this as a strong guideline for that. Let's see. Now, did you say?
Yeah.
I see. This is new to me. So let's try to skip through some of these real quick. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I thought you left other slides here.
Yeah, sorry.
So, no, that's okay. So the first section that we want to talk about through this is the community identity. There's a lot of questions that are particularly focused on the downtown area. That doesn't mean that we don't care about the other commercial districts, but as the comprehensive plan consultants were here, they got some good feedback. They got a sense of direction from the steering committees about what the city's desires were in that direction, but they weren't really sure exactly what the focus of the downtown needed to be. So you'll see that the survey is weighted a little more with questions about that because we're trying to get further sense of direction. There's also the sense of community and what unique attractions that we have. So you might share where we're at so far.
Yeah, so far, and these are the things certainly we want to hear from more. Like Tracy mentioned, we're around the 250 mark, which is hopefully halfway. We hope to get at least 500 or more. But some of the strengths that are standing out right now in these surveys, just as a base of reference, is a sense of a safe community, a general sense of community, and the strength of our schools, especially our public schools. And then some of the weaknesses or challenges would be the way this is worded, but is, of course, you know, there's a challenge of addiction and mental health in the area. as well as poverty. And then I think on an unrelated, but a challenge that rises in the survey is also restaurant options. So I think Yale pointed out we're working on that already, but those of course are in different veins, but
Maybe
it's
everybody's
important.
going crazy because there's not enough.
That's right, yeah. So there are certainly important aspects, but this is why we want to hear from folks because, of course, I think Tracy may have mentioned already or would, but it's not that the city will do all of the things that come from a comprehensive plan, but the city will want to know what we can do to help move in the direction that the citizens want to see the city going. So I'll let Tracy talk about the next one here.
Sure. The next section is education and economy. And so in education and economy, doing a little, apparently my finger isn't there. You know what? I apologize. I have got my papers mixed up. So let's talk about health and safety. Health and safety is paying attention to the public health and well-being. It also incorporates questions about the parks and recreation and leisure and the safety services. I'm going to steal your thunder a little bit, but I found it really interesting that in some of the surveys that people feel very safe in the daytime, but not so safe at night. So, you know, some of the things that we've talked about as strategies to help that would be simple, not necessarily inexpensive, but just changing out some of the street lighting to LED lighting so that there's a better, clearer images, to try to encourage some of the developments to not put big shrubs right next to the entryways, but to keep those low to the ground. Another thing that we've already started to do that we should continue to do is on our public trails. There's a rule about 2 to 6 foot, where if your ground cover doesn't go over 2 feet and your overgrowth is at least 6 feet or higher, that creates a safe viewing so that you don't have to worry about people lurking off the edges of the trail. So just little things like that. It can be as big as a large capital expansion of streets, or it can be as maybe smaller scale as just making sure that we're keeping the brush around the trail cleaned up. But all those things come together to make our community stronger. What else you got there?
Well, yeah, in addition to that, I think some of the things that are standing out already in the survey responses is just that neighborhood parks and playgrounds are important. I think Bolivar's already blessed to have quite a number of those, but it's good to know that that is important, as well as the hiking and biking trails and those being affordable options for residents. That's one thing that's important to folks so far in the surveys with in this category.
Let's see what's next on the slide. Harmony with nature, natural resources, sustainability, and resiliency. Things to consider on this, again, is our natural resources, the stormwater. How much green space do we need in our community? How responsible do we need to be to preserve those green spaces?
Yeah, and in we'll talk a little bit more about the built environment in just a moment as well, but of course the built environment and development is a factor in that. That's one of the things that's on the category so far has risen to the top, just a sustainably managed growth and development. And so we in my department will certainly be wanting to take those considerations ultimately out of the comprehensive plan into consideration, as well as the planning and zoning department, and so that we have sustainable growth, so that we're growing in a way in our zoning districts and all relate in such a way that the interaction between residents and commercial is really healthy. And so we certainly enjoy, I'll give a plug just to citizens being involved in things like the planning and zoning processes. If you have letters about rezoning and things like that, and you want to come and have your voice heard, I think that's an important part of being part of the community, and would encourage people to participate in those processes. And if you have an opportunity to serve on one of those boards, I encourage you to, just because it's good for us to have a wide array of input in those areas. But that's one that's risen in this area.
The next section is economy and education. I think we all realize how important the education is. One of the questions on the survey is what brought you to Bolivar? And a large percentage of people came here to go to school and stayed. So I think that SBU is a very vibrant part of our community. The K through 12 system is so strong, and we want to make sure that remains a very strong factor. But how do we retain the students once they graduate? Another factor, obviously, is job and workforce development. I think Gail spoke to that very well just a few minutes ago. And then economic activity and diversification, which I think she painted a very good picture when she talked about a financial portfolio. We don't want to be a community where everybody works for the Toyota plant and then Toyota goes out of business. So I'm very, very proud of the diversity that we have in our community, and we want to make sure we keep that strong.
And some of the correlations from the numbers so far that you notice on question 2 of that section of the survey, just asking about ways that the economic development could prioritize things in Bolivar. And some of those that are already rising to the top pretty significantly is assisting small businesses and startups, but as well as strengthening existing businesses and job creation. Of course, there's a lot of different elements there, but it's important to know that those are a priority if they remain there in the surveys. And then another aspect just that comes up again in the question 3 on that section related to commercial areas and strengthening those and strengthening downtown. And 2 that rises to the significantly to the top of those so far is more entertainment options. So you're hearing that in a couple different aspects of the survey, as well as improved aesthetics, trees, landscaping, and storefronts. So the planning and zoning and city staff have discussed before just questions about whether there should be considerations for overlay districts or things like that in say in your downtown area where you try to bring some aesthetic continuity, maybe by signage, and that's a significant part that's come out in this survey as well, I think that we'll be looking at in the future.
I think another component that we'll be studying quite a bit, especially through COVID, we've realized that a lot of things can be done from home remotely. So, do we need to build up our broadband infrastructure? Will students tend to stay at home and do their education from there? Will SBU have more remote classes and possibly less on site? And if they do, how do we need to revamp for the possibility we may not have as many student population here, even though SBU remains strong through an internet system, as well as jobs. We don't know what the jobs are going to look like 20 years from now with the way technology is expanding. So we need to keep our ear in tune for that and make sure that we have the infrastructure to support those jobs. The built environment includes neighborhood and housing, transportation and mobility, infrastructure and utilities, and public facilities. And I'll take a moment to tie in the neighborhood and housing with comments that we have on public health. Some of the data, which I think you all probably are well aware of, that our baby boomer generation is a much healthier generation than the ones before. They're very active and have a much more robust lifestyle, possibly, than the generation before. But what I found was interesting is statistically, our 20 and 30-year-olds aren't as healthy. And it's probably because of sitting in front of computers and just not necessarily needing to go out and be active to have some of that entertainment or that work environment. So how can we create neighborhoods that engage people to be out and to be active? And as another component of that, our aging population doesn't tend to want to go to a nursing home, but they may not want to stay in the large house they have, but they don't want to leave their neighborhood. So do we need to look at some different ways for development to lay out where perhaps there's patio homes or homes with smaller lot sizes that stay in the community where people are, to give them that opportunity to transition into something nice, but not have to necessarily move into a senior living situation.
Yeah, and I can speak a little bit to the built environment in general. I can tell you this, it's I think, I think it's pretty accurate, but that Bolivar probably has one of the easiest pathways to move from desiring to construct to completing construction. We're one of the least expensive in the region as it relates to cost of permitting and things like that. And so I'm thankful and proud to be in a community that does that. I've certainly been on the other side in a past life of construction, and so we try to be reasonable in that department. One of the things that I think is important, and we would want to hear from community members if they had a concern about things like codes and development processes and all, because what we really view in my department is that our job is to help say yes to people, not to say no. We want to see people successfully develop and build, and certainly we want to encourage that. And the way I personally view the codes, and I think there's a lot of support from our board and from our city as a whole, is that they're intended to offer important aspects of life safety. We want buildings to be safe for people to go into, whether they're residential structures to live in, or certainly commercial structures to be in and to gather in. But we also want them to have longevity. But we don't want the building code to be overly burdensome or onerous so that it makes a circumstance and a situation where someone who otherwise intends those same things, life safety and longevity, would not be able to develop for some reason. And so we really work hard, I would say, to work with each developer and each individual builder in order to do those things effectively in the community. And so I just personally would open myself and our department up to, if you have questions about that, and we're doing some code development even now, and we look for things that are important to include in the code, and we look for things that may be overly burdensome that aren't necessary, we feel. And so we're certainly open to that, because we want to reflect those important elements of life safety and longevity. We want buildings that are safe, and we want them to last. But we want to work together for people's good and development there. So that's a little bit on the built environment, and I think the
next one takes us to land use. I'm not sure if that's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to mention?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
No, you go ahead.
So there is another element to the survey that you can do online, and so I think on these surveys there's a QR code, which you could do the whole survey online, or you could link to this mapping section. There is some demographic information there on the back that it's important for us it's helpful for us to have as well with the surveys. But you can go through this process and just highlight areas that you think need attention in regard to preserving, strengthening, enhancing, or transforming. There's also another element of the survey online where you can pin areas in the community that you find valuable, that are important to you or to your family. And so that's good for us to know. There's been quite a few interactions with that already, and that is important. One last thing I will mention we are going to run, we are trying to promote these surveys, and so if you fill out the little contact information on there, you can be entered into some drawings the next 2 weeks, because we'll be doing that through Facebook. We've had some businesses donate some just free giveaways, like free drink or something in that smaller regard. And then on each Friday, the city will have a larger prize, some golfing and some recreation passes and all. So anyway, we'd love for you to be involved in that as well, but to pass that information along so that we can get past the 500 mark. That's our goal, and so you can help us with that. And so that's an important part of that as well.
Just real briefly, so we're trying to wrap up the surveys the end of this month, maybe latest to 1st of April. Then that will go back to the consultant, and they'll start to draft that into the form of a comprehensive plan. Once we have that first draft, we will have a public hearing for that, or a town hall meeting, I guess is a more appropriate way to say that. So we encourage you, we'll make sure that we get the word out as best we can, and we'd love to have your feedback during that portion of the development of the comprehensive plan as well. So thanks, I appreciate your time. I was gonna flip to it, but
still got a few more. So unless you're ready for kick us out.
We'll be quick. It doesn't like me.
No, I think I'm just a little far away. Hey, Greg, could you advance that? Could you advance that computer and see if it'll go to the next? Advance the slide. So anyway, thank you guys. I tell you, we've got a great team in Bolivar that's willing to be able to work out and do these things that you all ask us to do. It's important for us to really be able to look at the things that Bolivar has done and the way Bolivar is going. One of the things with the, before we get too far away from the surveys is, we're not just asking our community in Bolivar. I mean, we're asking our community in Polk County, businesses who are traveling in, we're asking you to be a part of this. So don't think we're limiting this just to our citizens. I mean, this is across the board. People who have any relationships inside Bolivar, we're asking you to be part of that. Because it really helps us to continue that growth and move forward. So moving on to the EPA variance. So you remember when we were talking about the sale of the utility, we have been talking about this variance that had been going on. We're still in that. So we're doing a parallel path with the sale of the utility along with still dealing with the variance. The variance is important for us in case the sale doesn't go through. So if the sale doesn't go through, we need to make sure that we're going to still be meeting EPA standards as they're required. So one of the things in that negotiation, unfortunately, is that they've decided to shorten our term, EPA has, and the timeline. They had originally given us 14 years. They've dropped that down to 7 years. And then there's also the measurement of which influence that they were asking us to meet would move from an 18 that we know we can meet down to a 14 grams per milliliter. I know that's probably pretty technical, and I don't always know all the ins and outs of that as well. But this, I mean, our wastewater treatment manager says this is a big deal, and it's hard for us to meet. So this is one of the reasons why we look to Liberty to help us to overcome that aspect. They have a lot more capital dollars that they're able to invest up front to get that system up and going. And so that's where we're at with it. And so with the variance, that's where we're at. With the sale, the Public Service Commission is doing their due diligence. So just this past, our past meeting, we wound up having a extension for 6 months. The Public Service Commission wanted to make sure that everything that they were seeing in this sale of the assets were documented. They're going through a lot of paperwork there. This is the first time, second time in Missouri that they've actually used the market way of selling or for a person to buy a utility. So with that, they're making sure they're doing their due diligence. They typically do a cost analysis type of sell, which normally is a much cheaper sell. And so in this area, with doing the market value, the community is getting more dollars for the sell. And so they're just trying to stay, to make sure we're all on the up and up on that. And so one of the other things the Public Service Commission is doing, they look at rates and make sure those rates are going to be in line with what they need to be able to meet the customers on the other end of the spectrum, that is our residents and our businesses. Although the city won't be necessarily in control of that if we go through, there is a government entity that is involved in that, and they are making sure that those dollars or those fees or the cost of per gallon doesn't exceed what the consumer can actually pay. So that's an important aspect that we make sure of. There we go. The other thing we're talking about, so coming up this spring, on into the summer, you're going to start seeing some activity with sidewalks down Springfield Avenue along with Broadway around MoDOT. We've been able to partner with them and the county to be able to come up to do some ADA compliance that we really need to have done on our sidewalks moving forward. And so it's important to recognize that the city is continually moving forward with that. It's a slow process. We started this conversation with them in my first term as mayor. So I'm in my second term, so that's taken about 4 years for us to get to this point. So it's not an easy place to get to, but I'm proud to say that we were moving in a good direction. They're also committed to putting a crosswalk at Austin Street on Springfield Avenue, along with a pedestrian light there. That'll help connect our east sidewalks that's coming down Springfield Avenue to our west sidewalks that continue on down in front of SBU and all the way to Aldridge. So that's a good place for us to be. We need those things, and it's great to be able to partner with MoDOT to be able to have this happen. So be ready. There's going to be construction. There's going to be things that's going to slow us down. So hopefully with that progress, we're able to be patient with it. The last thing I'd like to talk about, and before we get too involved in it, I'd like, I think 2 of our coordinators are here. Shania, if you would stand up, and Mary Sullivan, and I don't think Todd's here, right? So these are a couple of our coordinators with us today with the Aquatic Center and Recreational Department. It's important to know, thank you ladies, they're in, Shania is part of the youth coordination of sports. She's out doing a lot of recruiting and building up teams for the city. I think you said I'm sorry, at memberships as well. We're at 200, where were we at?
374.
374 memberships. Something to keep in mind when we had budgeted for this, for buying the lease out from the YMCA, we were looking at needing 500 memberships in order to break even. So the more we can get more community involvement in that, the better off the community is going to be in being able to continue to let that revenue be able to continue to operate our wellness and fitness area. So also, Mary is with she's doing a lot with the programming. So it's important for you, if you're interested in knowing more about programming, she's the one to see on it. She's also part of Silver Sneakers, so for our senior adults, if you want to visit with her about that as well, she's going to be able to get you in a good program and be able to work through the insurance processes with that. So we also have our fee schedule. That's where we are with the wellness side of it. We have not completely come up, Todd has not finalized the aquatic center yet side of it, but we're looking forward to getting that. We're getting close. I'm sorry.
And water's going in.
Water is going in, so we'll be opening it very soon. So we're looking forward to it being open and for everybody to start having participation there. We got 5 minutes. I'll go ahead and I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can, and or Jennifer, I'm happy to present or do anything else if you'd like. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Gail. We really appreciate the city taking the time to come out and share what's going on in the community with us. If you've not taken the survey, please feel free to complete that in paper copy. There is also a website. You can do it online. Again, let's try to get as much input to our leaders as we can to see what direction we want our city to head in. We're going to go ahead and do our Bolivar Herald Free Press ad giveaway now. Linda, do we have our sign-in sheet? All right. That's like magic.
It is. That's how we operate, yeah. Okay. Not sure, did everybody sign in? You can't win if you don't play.
Last chance to sign in. Looks like we need some sign-ins. Okay.
I thought we should have marketed the survey. You can't win if you
Yeah,
don't.
that's right.
That's what I do.
Okay, we will let people sign in real quickly on that. While we're doing that,
We're gonna give away free advertising. Free advertising in the Bolivar Herald Free Press. It's a great deal, so make sure that you've signed in.
and who is here from the paper?
Let's see, it's
Okay, fantastic. Missy, do you want to pick a number? What are our number choices?
you go anywhere between 1 and 50.
Let's go with 21.
21. I really didn't do it damn much.
Hopefully Dan's in agreement with that.
Would you give it to the marketing booth? Yeah.
You want me to do a different one?
Right, yeah, I mean,
Okay, what do you want?
well, I mean, somebody else might wanna win too, so. Yeah.
Number one.
Number one, Chris Warwick.
Same good at the city of Baldwin, that's fine.
Do you have a little electric company of some kind?
Thank you.
We appreciate it very much.
Okay. And thank you again to the paper. We really appreciate that continued partnership. It's making its way through the rounds, so continue to come and sign up for that. Before we get to our roundtables, if we have some time for that, just a couple of upcoming events. March 25th again is the job fair at the Bolivar Recreation and Aquatic Center from 4 to 6. If you're interested in that, please feel free to see us afterwards for more information. April 2nd, we have a ribbon cutting for Go Forth Home and Lawn at 10 a.m. April 8th,
Back there.
yes, there's Melinda. And April 8th, we have two events. That's networking at noon, and then that's also going to be the open house and from 4 to 7, and then the ribbon cutting at 5:30 for the Bolivar Recreation and Aquatic Center. So I imagine there's going to be some tours going on for that. So if you can make it out to that, and you haven't been out to the facility yet, that's a great time to tour it. April 16th is again the annual Chamber Golf Tournament. Morning and afternoon tee times available, full sponsorships available, as well as if you'd like to submit items for the player bags. We have more meals in the back or in the other room if you were unable to eat. Great turnout today, so we really appreciate that. And also meals for the staff of the church. Thank you again for your help. We want to thank Pastor Hudson again for letting us use the facility and for providing umbrella service. That was greatly appreciated. And let's see. Christina Bravada, I think we had an announcement about a business recovery Zoom meeting. Is Christina, there we go. You want the mic?
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Christina Bravada, and I'm the program manager for the Addiction Recovery Program at CMH. Some of you may know that we have a wonderful program at the hospital. It's an outpatient clinic. That was a little bit longer of a walk. And we have seen a huge impact due to COVID, as many of your businesses has. Unfortunately for our business, we doubled our numbers. Last year we were averaging about 60 to 70 patients coming in every month for medication assisted treatment for SUD or OUD, which is substance use disorder or opioid use disorder. Right now we're averaging about 170 patients a month. So I know that that greatly impacts the ability to retain work staff. And we were approached by the University of Missouri Extension to participate in a statewide virtual conversation regarding building a stronger workforce in Missouri, and specifically helping to have a recovery-friendly workplace that benefits employees that may be struggling with SUD and really need support services through their employer to retain employment and to become free from addiction. When they started talking to me about this webinar next week, I said, you have to talk to the director and assistant director at CMH, Scott Kirchhoff and Sarah Swearingen. We've had a successful relationship with them at Nutritional Services when we have patients that are successful in recovery and need employment, which greatly benefits the maintenance of their recovery. We've partnered with Nutritional Services and have a lot of success stories of patients getting employed and retaining that employment in an atmosphere where if they are struggling or if they have fear of relapse or if there's something that's maybe emotionally triggering them, they don't have to hide it from their employer. They can talk to their employer and talk to their manager and get directed towards behavioral health services or continued MAT treatment through our clinic. So we really want to tell you all that we're going to be having that conversation and that online presentation on March 18th. It's from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. And I have information that I'm going to be around for a few minutes after this. So if you want to catch me, I'm so happy to give you information of how to register for that event. It's online. And if there are any businesses here that are having difficulty either having applicants that are able to pass drug screens, or if they're having difficulty retaining a workforce because they have an employee struggling with SUD, we are here to support you. We're here to talk to employers, talk to managers, talk to directors about how we can benefit the community together by creating an atmosphere that celebrates recovery and an atmosphere that really provides services for people struggling with addiction instead of shutting them out. So that was it. Thank you.
Okay, we are going to hit the round tables. If you have any announcements for your business, please feel free to speak up. If you have to leave in the meantime, just feel free to head out. I know the lunch hour is just about up, so we will try to make sure everyone gets a chance to make announcements. Anybody have an announcement here?
Youth softball, baseball registrations are due at the end of this month, March 31st. Our first Lion Country dance, any of you line dancers out there, will be coming April 3rd. Mary is at 7 o'clock. At 7 o'clock at their recreation center out there, so come out and be a part of that. Hopefully we're looking at the aquatic center being open mid-April, so for all of you people, April 19th, yep. So look for that, look for the announcements on our Facebook page, and we'll get that out there to the community. So if you have any questions after this is over, feel free to talk to Mary, all right? Thank you.
Thanks. All right, anyone else? Anything else? Nick, you got anything? Okay. Anybody, you have anything from the library?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of you probably know me. I'm Laura Jenkins from the Polk County Library. We are starting, actually, because most of you know we have COVID, we are actually starting our in-house programs, which we are excited about that. So we are launching summer reading program, and we are asking businesses to donate, especially for adult prizes. We do have a lot of kids prizes, but we want to actually focus more on the adults this year, and also the kids too. So it could be gift cards, it could be a check, it could be anything that you want to give donations for our summer reading program for adults prizes. So there you go.
Hey, Daniel Leith, Bolivar Technical College. If any of you, we have got several nursing programs getting ready to start. If any of you, maybe not in here, that might want to come in a nursing program, but you're more than welcome to. I can walk you through the admissions process, but if you have family or friends that are looking at that, we have the professional nursing, which is the RN, getting ready to start in August. The LPN program starts in January, and Gen Eds are usually open every semester, spring, summer, or fall, so we'd love to have you out there.
Hey, my name is Ben Salmon with Polk County K-Life. I was just two things. One, I have a baby, he's 4 months old, so I said that. But two, I just want to let you know Polk County K-Life is making moves. We've actually hired a couple, Campbell and Tyler Lakatos, to come back to Bolivar. We just keep sucking them back in. I don't know if you know, Campbell is like a big-time SBU basketball player, sat on the end of the bench, and so. But they're coming back to join our team, and so if you haven't heard from me yet, you probably will, because we also need to figure out how to pay for that. So you might be hearing from me soon. So I just wanted to give that update. And K-Life's going great, by the way. There you go.
And so I'm Tom Johnson from Sling and Stones Ministries. We've got in June, we're gonna have a thing out at the farm, at the Recovery Farm. We did something 2 years ago when we bought the property, and so we're just wanting to have people come out. After Sam graduated last year, we've had a lot more people come on board, helping sponsor the guys and stuff, and so 2 of our guys are sitting over here. This is Daniel, he just came in 2 or 3 days ago, and then this is Todd. He just got a 6-month coin for sobriety last night. And so it costs about $720 a month for the guys to be there. We don't charge them, and we have people in the community who sponsor that, and so we're always looking for that. But we just want people to come out, and this morning I spent time getting our greenhouse ready to go. I planted some petunias and I got some hot peppers. We're going to be selling super hot peppers. I've got 24 different varieties from all over the world of the hottest peppers that you can buy. And so we will be selling those. We'll be selling some salsa and different things just to try to raise money to support, you know, the recovery in this thing. And you know, that the thing showed that there's an addiction problem. There is an addiction problem, but our community is very well established through the different partnerships and Polk County Cares and all the different people who are doing all these things to come together to combat all these things. And the future is so bright for this town. I'm just, in the Bible, I found a verse a long time ago when I came to this town. It says, it's Jeremiah 29:7, and it says, pray for the town in which I've sent you into exile and pray for its welfare, because when it prospers, so will you. And I held on to that, and I've done that, and this town is really growing very strong and coming together, and we're so loved by this community. You know, between the fire and everything, you know, people just love us and have supported us so much, and so it's just a blessing to be a part of this community. So June 12th, put that on your calendars, and we'd love you guys to come out. We'll cook something, maybe we'll kill a big old pig and smoke it or something. We like to eat, you can tell.
Hi, I'm Matthew Stewart with COM, and I just want to announce that we are starting a new employment access program next month, hopefully next month, called Project Thrive. This is a program, a 10-week program in which people who are interested in becoming motivated to empower their lives in finding out what their career goals are. We are going to put them through life skills classes, job skills classes. We're going to partner them with mentors. They're going to volunteer at COM to give kind of real-world job experience. Right now we're recruiting volunteers to be mentors, to kind of cheerlead these students on their journey through the course. We're also interested in talking to local businesses to partner in different ways. You know, one thing that we would like to offer these graduates of this program is a guaranteed job interview. And we already do have a couple of businesses who are interested in giving that, who have agreed to give a job interview for graduates. But there are a lot of different ways you can help. If you are interested in coming in on a business panel night to give kind of your life story as a business owner or as an entrepreneur to students who might be interested in kind of following in that path, we definitely encourage that. And we also would like to have people come in and do mock interviews, or just meet up with students for networking, that kind of thing. You can reach out to me at com, at matthews@bolivarcom.org if you have questions, or you can talk to me after this. Thank you.
I think I need to join Silver Sneakers. I'm having a hard time getting up there. I'm with BOMA Works. If you are an employer and you're needing maybe a 16 to 18-year-old student to come an apprentice or intern, we are looking at who we can partner with for the summer school time as well as for next fall, getting those signed on. So if you want more information, I do have cards and I would love to talk to you.
So our new publisher, hopefully you guys have seen that in the paper, I think it was last week, Jay Strasner, he goes by JT. He was
really gonna be here today, but something came up and he couldn't, so hopefully next month, you guys can meet him, but, as far as a publisher, he's over the Bolivar Free Press, our papers in Stockton, Buffalo, Marshfield, and then Christian County Headliner. So, he seems very personable, I think he'll do a really good job, so I just wanted to let you guys know that he was here, and hopefully that'll go very, very, very well.
Hi, my name's Gayla Pruitt. I'm with Floodwater Productions, and currently I'm working with a producer in Springfield. We're trying to put together funds to produce a proof of concept trailer for a feature film that we hope to produce and shoot in the Bolivar area. The screenplay is based on, well, actually the novel's based on a screenplay. It's a faith-based screenplay called Glimmer. And so right now, to raise some funds, the books are available for $10 a piece, and all the proceeds will go toward the fundraiser. I also had produced a few years back a documentary about when the presidents came. It's when President Truman and the Venezuelan president came in 1948. It has a lot of archival footage and interviews from some residents that were there that day, and that is $20. If you'd like to know more, I'm also running a special for any businesses that want to put together just a short promo video, and that's on my website. You can go to gaylapruitt.com and look at the More fundraiser, and Pruitt spelled kind of weird. It's Pre-Wit, looks like, but it's Pruitt. So anyway, thank you very much.
I am Melinda from Go Forth Home and Lawn, that used to be the former Sears hometown store. We were open for just a few months in 2019 through March of 20, and a lot of you know we went through a lawsuit with Sears. We have recently won that, and we've won the fact that we can open our store. Yes, we are happy about that. We have won the fact that we can open our store. Their non-compete was illegal, and that's why we were fighting it. So we finally, when we went through 5 arbitrations, finally found an arbitrator who knew the law and would rule on the law instead of his opinion, and that's how we won. So we are now taking them to federal court to try to get some of our damages back. But I want to thank the community for supporting us. I received multiple private messages, text, phone calls, numerous times in my store and through my phone, through email, for support from the city of Bolivar. And I want to say thank you for that, because it was at those times, you know, when you need a pick-me-up, something like that would come in. So we are glad to be back in business. Our open house is April 2nd at 10 o'clock, so come out and join us. I've got a manager that's probably going to manage the store, because during COVID, when we had to shut down in March, we lost the non-compete. We were working from home. My husband has a construction business, Go Forth Construction. He's redoing Master Lawns and has done a couple of projects here in town, but he does hotels. He built the new hotel here in town. He is kind of what kept us going through this whole thing. But I do bulk orders for those hotels with appliances and mattresses and TVs and that kind of thing. So I still will be working from home and in the store a couple days a week. But we have a manager and her husband, they're gonna run the store for us. But we would love for you guys to come join us on April 2nd. And again, we wanna say thank you for the support. We are glad to be open.
Thank you all for coming. Be careful as you head back to work. Hopefully it stopped raining, and we will see you next month.